and welcome to Soccer X TV for the Livingston boss, David Martindale. Hi, how are you?
I'm good thanks. The players are off today, but we've got a reserve game later on, so I've got a wee bit of free time this morning.
I can't believe you're not sort of knocking nails in stands and doing all the rest of the stuff, because you do everything, don't you?
Project management side of it's finished now, Rob. 4 years in the Premier League, we're in a good place.
But listen, I've got loads to ask you, but you do pretty much everything, though. You're totally hands-on at the club, aren't you?
Yeah, but more so year by year, because we've stayed in the Premier League, it's brought a wee bit more finances into the club, so it's allowed me to delegate a little bit more and bring other personnel into the club. So as the years have went on, my job descriptions got closer to being the first team manager than it ever has.
I tell you what, do you know what? You speak to the bosses, the top bosses, they say that delegation, more so than ever before, arguably is one of the toughest aspects of management. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I found that personally. I think from my perspective, the attention to detail, so you're probably trying to control most factors. So I think the delegation part's difficult, but I'm very lucky, as I've got a great backroom team, and there's 3 or 4 of the members of the backroom that have been here for 10, 11 years, so it makes the delegation side a whole lot easier. I think you're only successful as the staff that you've got around you and the players that you recruit.
Do you actually enjoy the 90 minutes?
Yeah, because I think although I'm the manager, I'm also a football fan. I enjoy watching games of football, I enjoy the tactical battle, enjoy the performance from the players and the opposition, so I do enjoy those 90 minutes. You get immersed in them. I think your brain takes you away from being that football manager. You're immersed in that 90 minutes of football.
Do you get nervous beforehand?
No, not really. I've never really been the nervous type, to be honest.
I was coming in, driving in today, looking forward to chatting to you, and I just wonder who's going to play you in the film.
I don't know. That's a long way away. I need to take Livingston to a European Championship. I need to get into European football or win a cup or do something special. I think there's a long way to go at Livingston before we can talk about things like that.
But there is a sense of redemption, man, though, isn't it, about your story?
Yeah, I think there's a massive rehabilitation story behind me, obviously. I don't think it's any secret. I don't know if you want me to talk about that slightly.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I mean, you spent time in prison, and then you did a degree at the same time. Your life was obviously at an incredible low, and to come from that, it has been a redemption man story.
Yeah, well, I got arrested and concerned to supply drugs in April 2004. I got imprisoned in October 2006. But August 2004 I enrolled at university, Heriot University in Edinburgh, and I spent 2 years, 3 months at university before I got imprisoned in October 2006. I spent 3.5 years in prison, and on my release, the Heriot University allowed me back into university to finish my degree, and I came out of university with a 2-1 honours degree in project management.
And then began at Livingston.
Yeah, I think I got out of university in 2012, finished as a full-time student in 2012. I got involved in Livingston in June 2014. We got relegated May 2016 to League One. And it was at that point that the people that were running the club basically gave me a big set of keys. And he says, yeah, you're running the club now. And that was me left to my own devices in 2016. The chairman at the time stayed at the club, Robert. He was there as a bit of help for me, but Robert wasn't in the building very much because he had his own business to run. I was very lucky and fortunate that a local businessman, John Ward, came on board to be the chief executive, and he was a huge help for me. I remember that was me. I just ran the club for 2016 onwards.
Did you ever think, or did you have ambitions then that you wanted to be a first team coach, a manager?
No, I I was very happy working at the time. The manager was David Hopkin, and we had a very good relationship with one another, and I was quite happy. And I always said that I wasn't in the building to take someone else's job. Obviously, there was a lot of adverse publicity with myself, and I didn't want to cause my family any more hurt, and I didn't want to cause Livingston Football Club any reputational damage at that point, because I was probably still perceived as a negative at that point. It wasn't a positive. It wasn't until we came to the Premier League, well, we're in my 5th season now, so 2018, that we got promoted to the Premier League, that really the publicity was a little bit more, it was a little more heightened towards myself, so to speak.
Would you say, I mean, everybody who's read your story has to be incredibly impressed with it. Would you say, listen, people are always going to have a go at you, but do you think overall the publicity and the press you're getting now is incredibly positive?
Brilliant. I think society's changed. I think there's been a massive shift in society with diversity and inclusion, and I think that's really helped myself. People have jumped on board with the rehabilitation aspect of my journey, and I think the general public's been very, very supportive. And I do think when the chips are down in society, I think British society are very good at trying to help people. In general, we're very, very good at trying to help people when the chips are down. And I think as a whole, especially Scottish football, the average Scottish football fan, I think they identified with myself slightly. Most are from probably similar black backgrounds, working class backgrounds. And that was a really, really huge positive. And that gave me a lot of hope for my career, because I don't think up until that point I'd really seen myself being the first team manager of Livingston Football Club. I was quite happy in my role as the assistant manager and running the football club in general, the full football club in the stadium, so I was quite happy with that. But once this positive publicity, positive media aspect of it, then it was probably at that point where I thought, well, do you know what, I think this can be seen as a positive rather than a negative.
I think it's fair to say, as a first team manager of any football club, you're under immense pressure. It's almost 24 hours a day. Do you think time in prison, do you think your own story has helped you sort of put a better perspective on perhaps what you do now?
Yeah, I think, again, I was in bail for 2.5 years, and don't get me wrong, the whole everything about it wasn't great, but being on bail, you had to build a mental resilience. For 240, 26, I knew I was going to prison, I knew I was going to plead guilty when I went to court. That was very difficult, but I think being in prison and going through that process, you build a mental resilience. And I'm a great believer in adversity. You have to go through adversity to appreciate the positives in life. It makes you stronger. And that's definitely helped me in my aspect of my life, and it's helped me going into football management. I would say I've built a mental resilience, but I'm also pretty thick-skinned.
Do people come to you for advice now?
Yeah, you get a lot of letters from prison, people getting released, people that have just been in prison. I get a lot of letters from different people, all walks of life, that are in prison. I've done a couple of interviews within prison, going up and speaking to prisoners in prison. It's probably something I would like to do a little bit more, try and help people that are in similar situations. But again, being the manager of Livingston, there's not a lot of great deal of time that I've got that I can put towards doing that. But it is an aspect of my journey that I'd like to try and share and help others.
We're looking backwards. If you look forwards, I know it's a difficult question, but have you set yourself a ceiling? Is there a ceiling for you as a manager? Is it always Livingston Football Club? But say somebody either abroad or say somebody in England came in for you, would that be an opportunity that you'd embrace?
Yeah, I think I've got ambitions, but first and foremost, all a great deal of gratitude to Livingston Football Club. I've spoke to the chairman is Robert Wilson, the chief executive, John Ward. They've been with my journey, they've allowed my journey to happen and have developed. And I've spoke to them, and if an offer ever came in, do you know what, it wouldn't be my decision. I think it would need to come from the chairman and the chief executive, and if they said, look David, we would like you to take this opportunity, or we think this is the right career path for you, or we want you to stay at Livingston Football Club, I think my future's in their hands opposed to my future being in my own hands, so to speak. Obviously I can shape my future with my progression and how I develop, but it'll be down to Robert and John if I'm going to be at Livingston Football Club in the next 6 months, the next 6 years, or the next 10 years, to be honest.
It's an astonishing story. It's an astonishing story anyway, because your own football career, you had a football career, but you didn't win cups with Celtic or with Rangers, obviously in your case. But to actually get to where you are, what is it? What have you got football wise, tactically? Why are you the Livingston manager?
It's difficult, but I think in 2016 when we were in League One, it allowed me to develop personally as a coach and a person. Like, if you were taking David Martindale in 2014 and putting David Martindale in the Premier League in Scotland, I think that would have been a huge gap. I'm not sure I'd have had the skill set at that point to compete at that level. But allowing myself, I was in the Championship for 2 years before we got relegated to League One. And then when I came into League One, from a coaching perspective, that's really when my journey began. I'd coached at a lower level, but between the level that I'd coached at previously, which you'd probably say was Tier 5 Scotland, and this was now Tier 3 Scotland, I think it allowed my coaching ability and me personally to develop organically. And then that progression, we got back-to-back promotions for League One into the Scottish Championship, then the Scottish Championship into the Scottish Premier League. So that evolution was organic, it wasn't forced. I don't think in 2014, if you'd put David Martindale into the Scottish Premier League, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking to you at this point in time, because I think that would have been a huge jump for my career.
Do you take stuff from other coaches? Do you look at Pep Guardiola? Do you look at coaches abroad? Do you look at, or are you very much your own man?
I do a lot of research, but I'm very big on, like, when you look at formations, I think it's players within formations, it's players within the building. I'm not going to try and put square pegs in round holes. Sometimes you'll recruit a player and you'll look at him, you've maybe recruited him as a winger, but you get him in the building and you go, do you know what, I don't think he's got that skill set that I'm actually looking for. I think he'd be more suited to a full-back, a wing-back, a number 6, a number 8. So I'm big on trying to develop what I've got within the building. Do I look at other managers? I'm not going to say I don't. I like watching different types of football, different styles of football, different managers. But I don't really model my game on them. It's kind of an evolution of what we're doing at the football club and trust the process we've got in at the football club. So it's more, I wouldn't say a steal, because I've probably not got the benefit where I can phone up Pep, Klopp, or I've not had a footballing career where I can go back to 5 or 6 managers that have done it at the top level and get a bit of advice. I've not really had that relationship with anybody really in football other than David Hopkin that I could bounce ideas off. So it's probably more I've used this term quite a bit, but probably allowed myself to organically develop and progress at the club for what we've got within the club.
Hey, listen, brilliant. I'm going with Ewan McGregor.
But Ewan McGregor, you need to get his haircut.
Hey, listen, Dave, brilliant talking to you. I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Right, thanks very much. It was really nice to be invited on. Thanks.